A very good afternoon, everyone. This is Melvin here, back again alone. How's everyone? How's the weekend? Mio couldn't make it today. Has something urgent at home. Texted me last evening. Okay, it's okay. Mio, hope everything is fine. Here, okay. How's the weekend? It's rather cold in Kuala Lumpur for all weekends of drizzling. Yesterday was hours of drizzling until late night, I believe, when I went to bed about past 11, 11:30 at night. It was still drizzling. It was a very pretty cold weekend, and yesterday, pick up my friend from Hong Kong who I have not seen for 2 years, um, because of the COVID-19. He came here just a month after that was the lockdown. So time flies because it was also not the first time travel after 2 years. And so welcome back to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. I say but it's pretty wet. When I picked him up at Central, it was drizzling. I hope weather will be fine next few days because we're going to spend a few days here. So last weekend, yes, before I start, something good happened. Remember, we had Kajang Suralangat community walkabout, and we met up. Was it 3 weeks ago? Yes, 3 weeks, something like 3 weeks ago. That the concern there was 50 over people. I mean, residents came, a representative of the residents there. So-called, I mean, telling us what they have faced, the issues of floods, 10 floods over 2 years, and know what happened with the efforts of MCs Langor and of course at now we manage so-called to force rather a schedule dialogue with the YB of the area. So this is just an update. What has happened? It happened 3 p.m. yesterday with the residents of Kajang. They say they have a register of 108 residents registered. A lot didn't register. To have a dialogue with the authorities at the town hall with MPKJ and YBH. The Kementerian is Mr. Pei, our representative of the residents, actually text me after the event. He said the Kementerian Alam Sekitar has allocated a 2.1 billion ringgit budget to handle the flood issue, of which Hulu Langat got 70 million ringgit, and they are building a 40 plus hectares big point to targeting to start in early January 2023 to so-called, if it's a heavy rain, to store the water. So it's a big area, 40 plus hectare, to commence work expecting at January 2023. So it was a great meeting, and at least the people there now know what's the authorities' long-term and short-term plans, and of course it tends to act now and not forgetting MCA Selangor. So it's something great, and yes, at least something could also pay attention after the reports. It's also thanks to the media. It came up in the media. They follow us during last 3 weeks, 3 Sundays ago rather, to the site to meet the people and look at the conditions of the surrounding. So please do, if you have such issues, committees issues, of course, on the bigger scale, what I would wish is that, okay, first of all, report it to Aetna mobile app. Second, send us a message or PM us that you require walkabout, and we're glad to do that. And we like to work together with the RT or RA of your respective area, right? Because I say our tagline, the voice of the community is important. So we like to work with the residents and with the RT, local tetangga, or the RA residents associations. So we are happy to serve you, and to not hesitate. But you need, first of all, to make a report, request us to meet up with your RTRA or the members of the residents, because during the walkabout, we need everyone corporations to show and support and come out for the walkabout, right? Not that just complain to us and wish for a walkabout. When we do a walkabout, no one's turned up. The residents turn up. That would not be effective at all. Okay, so what's on today? There's a couple of things I'm going to talk about. Well, some things, the title is, are we prepared for war? Seriously, we are not preparing for war. We hope peace throughout, entire so-called lifespans of everyone's. Peace is very important. But this is something I need to highlight. Let me share with you. Yes, give me a second. I'm alone and getting so-called views. Okay, this is what happened. All right, this was reported in the Star on Saturday. Another armored vehicles breaks down in Kuala Lumpur during the rehearsal. But actually, I saw the first articles and I said, okay, that's probably some. Of course, things can't predict. It happens on a bad day. But a second one means the second rehearsal, the same thing happened. Another armored vehicle broke down. So it says here, another vehicle broke down in the city here. The army confirmed that the armored prime mover broke down on his way back to Sungai Bisi camp on Saturday. This is after August 20, incidents that happens near National Museum, also involving a prime mover that has engine difficulties. So this is 2 times. And of course, the mechanics were dispatched there to operate. What my concern is, first of all, it shouldn't happen. A lot of these so-called arms we have invested, the country has invested billions of dollars. It should be well maintained at any time. All right, regular maintenance and all these things, even though probably it doesn't move around that much if it's not for like the rehearsal and all these things, or even for the army practice and all these things. But it should be maintained. Once and twice is a bit shameful. even though it's not on the actual day, but tomorrow, tomorrow is on Wednesday is the National Day. What it happens, and it's live telecast. And what happens if actually there's some emergency that is a war? We can't afford such incidents. So I hope the authorities, whoever contracted out, have to do regular maintenance program for all our investments. Right, it comes in millions, and not only money. When it comes to something as an emergency, we can't let it happen. We can't let this happen. All right. So this is our first topic that we're going to share. So what's the next? National Days on Wednesday. We are. How are we? We actually 65. Yes, this is yes. Yes, happy Merdeka. We are 65 years old. 65 Independence Day. Time flies. But then of late, of course, of the economy worldwide that affect worldwide. To be fair, not only Malaysia, it's worldwide. But we hope the governments spend more times looking into this, so that we have better measure. We have so-called a better year to come, and please add now. Don't wait to say happy 66 years will be next year will be better. I think immediately add now. All the governments, those in governments, those who holding all the portfolios, the cabinets, please. I think what the riot needs is a very stable and very progressive, improve our economies, and inflation is definitely high. I can share that with you. Last night when my Hong Kong friend came, we went for our regular meal, what he likes in Pavilion. He recall he ordered the same thing. It used to be 25, 26 ringgit, that set meal. And it came up to 30, almost 35, 90, something 36. Just a matter of slightly 2 years. That's so show us the inflations. Proportions has become lesser. Probably the chicken is smaller because we have chickens issues. That's why I told him. But we have to stay focused on improving our economies, not otherwise. Let's people like us have a good year to come, and not to be suffering, because economic suffering is another major that's developed into mental issue, because loss of job, loss of income, a lot of kind of things. So please focus. And do you know? Yes, they are rats they're from Ministry of Science, but they're not sure they're going to do another research investigation. They say 70% of the SPM's holders drop off from school, they'd rather not continue further their higher study, even though probably they can afford and can do so. So that shows that probably they need to supplement their family income. They're eager to come out to work, but that is not. That's too short term. The long term, the country will be affected. So let's celebrate. Let's bring back the glory to Malaysia. Let's not fight. I guess you all know what I mean. All right. So that is something impromptu I want to share with you. So the next topics I'm going to share with you is also concerning our weather. This is a long video, but I'm going to play a short while. Then we discuss further what I have in mind. This happens in not too far away in Pakistan.
Pakistan calls it a climate-induced humanitarian. Pakistan calls it a climate-induced humanitarian crisis of epic proportions as over 30 million people are affected by unprecedented flooding in the country. With close to 1,000 people killed, a national emergency has been declared. Heavy rains continue to batter parts of southwestern Pakistan, with the city of Quetta bearing the brunt of the intense downpour. Pakistan's Minister for Climate Change, Senator Sherry Raymond, says it's the worst flooding Pakistan's witnessed in living memory.
As we speak, we have 30 districts in Sindh completely inundated. So this is reaching proportions much bigger than what we saw in the super flood in 2010. Frankly, it's the biggest flood we've seen in living memory. And it has stretched all resources so thin to the ground that human vulnerability and fragility is very high. We are unable to reach in many places because our helicopters are unable to reach cut-off areas. You see the rivers leveling out into large flat plains. It looks like an ocean everywhere, literally, if you see the images, and it's been quite devastating.
Okay, the short scripts is actually a 4-minute script. Too long to play. This is what's happening now in Pakistan. It's one of the biggest floods in memory, and it's no joke. It's traveling down. Last week I mentioned the somewhere in northern east of west, or I believe in India, that's also a bad flood. And in Pakistan, 30 million people were affected, right, by this crisis. 30 million. That is almost 90% of Malaysian populations has been affected by this, and hundreds of people has died. So it reads here, it says here, millions of people have been affected by floods in Pakistan. Hundreds have been killed, and the government has declared a national emergency. The National Disaster Management Authority has sent more than 900 people more than 900 people have been killed since June. So the rain is not just now. It is not just like in August. It happens 3 months ago. So in this town, old town Chuko, in southern Xin province, worn tents line the streets, and people seek shelter, and many sit with just beds because all their possessions lost to the water. And I've seen these videos. Buildings and all those are washed and was tear down and washed to the rivers. So it's unthinkable. Right? The Prime Minister said that 33 million people have been hit by the flood. 33, he said, was reported 30 million by the videos that we saw, and it's around 15% of the populations. The country has appealed for more international aid, and Mr. Sharif, the Prime Minister, has held a meeting with foreign ambassadors in Islamabad. He said the losses caused by the floods in this season was comparable to the floods in 2010 and 11. That was about 11 years ago. Now it's year 2022, 12 years ago, in fact. So the Climate Minister, Michelle said the country was going through its 8th monsoon cycle, while normally the country only faced 3 monsoon cycles of rains. So it's double. So the percentage of super floods torrents are shocking. So it's indeed shocking. So in Malaysia, please, last week I had been telling everyone in the phone. So have good that yesterday the Kajang has a meeting with the YB ESCO of Malaysia and MPKJ, telling how much investments. Yes, this is what is good. It's a good dialogue which they have so-called long waiting for this dialogue with the residents, and but implementations has to be immediate. Yes, it takes time for first budget to come and realize money must be there. They said yes, in January 2023 they might start work on the 40 hectares to make a pond so they can restore rainwater. All right, if it's heavy rain, but then immediately make sure all the rivers are clean, because when we were there 3 weeks ago, the river was full of rubbishes. The drain was clogged with rubbish. Please get it done. Whole of Malaysia, all the all the authorities, please clean it up now. All right, I plead to you, KDB, Alam Fora, SW Corp, please. Right, it's all in your hands, and we have to work out. All the Damans, RA heads, RT heads, please voice out also. And the ESCOs of respective states, please look into this. And we have a lot of appeals to all the local authorities to trim the trees, because branches can be snapped and fall and hurt someone. Because when it's rain, it's not just rain. They say they were so windy, cold, and all this. The wind is strong. Please take immediate actions. I said it so many times. I do get bombarded by some of the users. Say, hey, I mean, they're being. I know it's actually also tell at now, because we are just a platform. Of course, we want to be an effective platform. We got it launched and all these things, but it's probably not fast enough. It's not at now enough. Please. So before disaster comes, we don't want anything. I mean, we pity what happened in Pakistan, but we don't want anything repeat here. Because it might all fall down. I mean, from Pakistan, India, it coming down towards us, right? And it's year end. I mean, next, it's not even Chinese New Year. Next 2 weeks. So, no, sorry, not Chinese New Year. Mooncake Festival, Autumn Festival is 2 weeks from less than 2 weeks from now. Zhong Chao Ji. Usually it's good weather, but now probably you have probably celebrates in the rainy seasons. And month after next is the Ninth Emperor birthday, which is traditional in Malaysia is a wet season. In southern Thai, in Malaysia to Singapore. So we have to get this all prepared. I hope we play our part. Don't get me wrong, please. If we just bombard us with all those tickets concerning all these issues like drainage being clogged by rubbish, rivers have too much rubbish, need to be cleaned, need to clean all the branches around the roads, around the taman. Please send to us. We act on it. That's our promise. And at the end, I say we still need the cooperations of the authorities. That's why it's a handshake. So we have to work hand in hand. It needs tools to tango. All right. So that is the end of today's. And Wednesday, we're off. It's a national holiday. It's our Independence Day, Hari Merdeka. And hope everyone has a good holiday, a good celebrations. Yes, I believe just now, about an hour ago, because I'm near the city center, the practice was so noisy. I mean, the planes flying over and all these things. I'm sure it's live. So if you can't go to see it in Dataran Merdeka, probably or Selangor Padang or something. I believe it's Selangor Padang, the Southern Salmat building. Probably it should be on live, right, in the morning. So it's been a while. For last 2-3 years, we have not seen live parade, national parade. So it's good time to share with everyone in front of TV in the morning. Have a good family day and a good holiday for everyone. So we'll see you next week, and hopefully Mills will be back then. All right. Happy Merdeka. And I see you on the following Monday. Yes, let's do the closing now. Bye-bye.